as I had intended to do, reading out the inspirations and style tab for the Wikipedia article of Bong Joon-ho. As a child, Bong watched Black Orpheus 1959 on Korean television, which made a big impact on him. While he was in film school, Bong watched the Katsi trilogy 1982 to 2002. His main inspirations are from Guillermo del Toro. His favourite films of del Toro's are The Devil's Backbone 2001 and Pan's Labyrinth 2006, and Nagisa Oshima, describing Oshima as one of the most controversial masters. Oshima is always a bit upper middle class for me, or at least like that realm of the upper class that was rich enough to be able to purchase great works of modernist art. You know, those sorts of people appreciate Francis Bacon rather than the sort of tepid, edgy, bourgeois twiddle, which is Nagisa Oshima, in my own opinion, and the opinion of anyone with more than several brain cells, I feel. Bong also studied the films of Martin Scorsese and cited him as one of his major influences during the acceptance speech for the Academy Award for Best Director when he won for Parasite 2019. It's a shame that Parasite's an example of how horrible human beings are. They can all receive this film well in the moment. Oh, yes, I like that. Yes, that's very true. But then they just carry on, keep going, and they say, oh, well, I deserved my wealth. Tee-hee-hee. You're not getting any of it. They are the parasites, aren't they? His process when working with actors is to make them feel comfortable and give them a high amount of freedom when performing, even allowing them to improvise. Bong has commented that he doesn't like the term directing actors as he feels that acting is the actor's job and it's something I don't feel like I can direct. Makes me think of a piece of an interview I once saw with John Frankenheimer. It was for Canadian television. It's from the 1970s. And Frankenheimer's talking about how he felt as though Warren Beatty didn't quite deliver the performance he could have or ought to have at the end of the 1962 film, which Frankenheimer directed, called All Fall Down. And Frankenheimer claimed that it's not Beatty. Beatty's a great actor. He had it in him. I wasn't able to wring it out of him. That's my job as a director. And it's like, that's Frankenheimer's big problem in a way, is he never saw film for its own sake. He used to mock those who would disdain, decry people who would read sort of psychosexual theory into Hitchcock, even if Hitchcock himself was clearly considering these avenues. He didn't adapt Robert Bloch for no reason. The Birds isn't just... The Birds is the first instance of what we'd call later elevated horror. He wasn't just trying to make some, like, goofy movie about killer birds. He was trying to make some sort of cultural statement there, which I think Frankenheimer refused to see, because Frankenheimer was one of these like sort of condescending populist types. He felt as though film was inferior to literature and drama. Like he read Robert Ludlum quite passionately, and it's like, you only care about the art. So I mean, Robert Ludlum's not terrible, but like, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I agree with Bong Joon-ho more so than I agree with John Frankenheimer. And Frankenheimer was sort of a auteur non-auteur. Like, he considered himself a studio man. He never wrote anything. He just directed other people's material, and he gained a voice via this, and the films firmly became his own, and he felt as though they were his own in the end, more so than the screenwriters, and they appeared to be so, although he was never quite what some of his later, even what someone like Lumet was. Like, Lumet took film as a medium a lot more seriously, who was Frankenheimer's mentor. Friedkin, who sort of is almost a middle ground between someone like Frankenheimer and someone like Michael Mann. Friedkin does a lot more than what Friedkin does a lot more than what Frankenheimer does. I mean, Frankenheimer directed the sequel to Friedkin's hit, I kind of breakout film, and I mean, no one considers, maybe some contrarian sort of bores, but no one considers French Connection 2 better than French Connection 1, and French Connection 2 is very, very good, of course. Anyway, the most defining trademark of Bong's films are their sudden tone shifts, sometimes within scenes, between drama, darkness, and black or slapstick humor. What a trivial sort of like reductionist take on Bong Joon-ho's very, very versatile technical palette. During a TIFF masterclass at the 2017 Toronto International Film Festival, Bong claimed, "I'm never really conscious of the tone shifts or the comedy that I apply. I never think, oh, the tone shifts at this point, or it's funny at this point. I'm never conscious of it during the filmmaking or screenwriting process," which is why it ought not to be considered the most defining trademark. Like, oh, this is so dumb. frankly. Bong also uses real filming locations or specially built sets in all his films as opposed to green screens, even to the extent of filming in Seoul's sewers for The Host 2006 and Memories of Murder 2003 set a local record for the number of locations it used. In an interview promoting Snowpiercer 2013, actor Ed Harris described Bong's shooting process as cutting while filming. Harris also said that if I was doing a scene and it was a couple of pages long, he would never shoot the whole thing one way. He'd shoot a few lines, like the first beat of the scene, and then he would turn the camera around and get my part for that part of the scene. Then he would change the angle a little bit. He additionally noted that the editor was sitting right there on the stage, right below the set with a big tent, actually getting the footage as they were filming. Fellow actor Daniel Henshall echoed Harris' sentiment, calling Bong precise and very sure of what he wants. Henshall continued by saying, "He only shoots what he's going to use in the edit, doesn't do any coverage. I've never worked like that before. You're trimming the fat before you've shot it," which is very brave because when you get into the edit, if something's missing, you haven't got it. He's been planning it for 4 years that meticulously. In 2015, Bong's list of 50 inspirational films was published on the French streaming platform La Cinétech. His list includes 3 works from Martin Scorsese, Mean Streets, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and 2 films each by Shohei Mimura, Kim Ki-young, Alfred Hitchcock, Francois Truffaut, Federico Fellini, John Carpenter, David Lynch, Akira Kurosawa, and Stanley Kubrick. Bong Joon-ho seems like a man after my own heart where his filmmaking is concerned. Sometimes his writing on film, his statements can appear really overly sentimental and sort of pandering to this sort of like, this film discourse where we basically just jerk each other off over how much we like all the same films, and it's just, I'm not really interested in that. Not because I don't like those films, I adore those films. It's just that I'm just more interested in... I don't like complacency, and I don't like everyone just like patting each other on the back. I want things to happen. Like, I want to feel something. I'm the kind of person, like, I get annoyed when it's sunny every day. I'm like, really? Again? Like, every day? Like, that's who I am. And so, like, you may call me just some sort of, like, bizarre fucking privileged, like, pseudo-Leninist, like, whatever. But, like, that's just how I feel. And, like, if you're gonna like try and advocate for me being like sort of shut down or like sort of like ostracized, then you're not as like happy-go-lucky as you pretend to be, and you really just want sort of consensus for its own sake, and any sort of dissent you sort of want to crush and smother. That's kind of my point, is that there is something insidious lurking beneath that sort of consensus mongering, whereas I like sort of more random spontaneity and just authenticity, effectively, but not sort of that crass stand-up comedy American tell like it is sort of Sam Kinison, sort of Andrew Dice Clay crap. Those references are all those are before I'm born even, but you know what I mean. I don't want things to just be... it feels fake. Fakeness freaks me the fuck out. I get paranoid when people are being fake. So just for my sake, just to soothe any sort of submerged anxieties of mine, just don't be fucking fake. Thank you, everyone. Tune in next time if you're so inclined, I suppose.